Hi, and welcome to the tasting notes for Grape Sense at Home, Volume 3. So the theme of tonight's Grape Sense is France, the road less traveled. As I said in the introduction earlier, I wanted to look at some regions and varietals that people probably are not as familiar with as some of the more well-known areas. So first wine we're going to look at tonight is this beautiful Aqua. It's a wonderful white grape which is native to the Savoie region itself. It is the most heavily planted of the region of all grape varieties, and it's also quite a high yielding variety as well. So it's got good economic factors involved too. It's really suited to a very cool climate wine growing area, of which Savoie is definitely one of those, being on the foothills of the Alps themselves. So being cool climate generally means that the wines are going to have a higher acidic level and lower alcohol levels as well. So this Cave de Chateau Jacquard is only 11.5% alcohol, so it is quite low even for a white wine. So now, the soil composition in that area, which is actually vineyards just north of Lake Bouget, the soil is composed of limestone and clay, and certainly is good in regards to the drainage that it provides the vines. There is a fair amount of rainfall in that region, so good drainage is absolutely essential. Now, the actual lake itself provides an extra kind of microclimate to the vines because of the cool temperatures. That lake is providing a little bit of warmth coming off the lake itself, but also the reflection from the water plays a huge part in actually ripening grapes each year. So it's all about those microclimates and how they just work together to create the perfect growing environment. Now, on the label you will see it says Vieux Vins. So Vieux Vins basically means old vines. A lot of producers choose to add this because old vines are thought of in a more positive way than younger vines, because basically older vines, even though they yield less fruit than younger vines, the energy that they provide to the grapes themselves is a lot more focused because there's less fruit to disperse it to. So you find that a lot of the times with old vines, the flavors are more intensified in the wine themselves. So these vines themselves are 40 years old. To be classed as Vieux Vins or old vines anywhere really in the world, you're looking at 20 to 25 years minimum for the vine age, but as I said, these are 40. The wine itself, beautiful cold ferment for 15 days in stainless steel, which is just really helping to retain a lovely freshness and keeping that acid level where it needs to be for this particular grape variety, which is quite high. The wine then just needs a little bit of body and texture just to kind of round off the edges. And the winemaking technique they use for this is what they call lees stirring. So the wine itself, once fermentation is finished, the small yeast elements and particles are left in the vats. The larger elements taken out, but then what the winemaker will do is every couple of weeks he'll come through and he'll stir those vats and make sure that those lees are distributed throughout, and over the course of that 6-month period they're actually adding some beautiful body and texture, as I mentioned, like just rounding off some of the sharp edges, especially with a high acidic white wine like Jacquard. So okay, so on to tasting. Well, I love the idea of Jacquard because it's such a beautiful variety that suits the alpine environment. And some people say when you open a bottle of Jacquard and you put it in your glass and it's the right temperature, which should be about 2 or 3 degrees for this wine, then it smells like walking through the Alps, walking around the steep snowy slopes of the Alps. It's got that lovely kind of fresh snow minerality coming through there, which is really lovely. And I think this wine does actually show that itself as well. I kind of think of picking up a rock from a snow-capped hillside with a layer of snow on top, and you've got that lovely kind of sense of minerality in the palm of your hand, which is really lovely. The aromas, definitely some white blossoms, a bit of jasmine, floral maybe, got some green apple in there, and another tasting note that I kind of picked for this was a lemon splice. So I know that's quite big here in Australia in regards to going down the shop and buying an ice cream or a paddle pop, so to speak. So I get that lemon splice element. There's something beautifully kind of citric about the element of the wine there, but it's also got that little hint of sweetness to just round the citrus off nicely. On the palate, it's firm, it's got this beautiful crunchy acidity behind everything. And then that little bit of leaf stirring, like I said, it's just added that little bit of texture. And even though the wine is quite taut and tense, I find it quite calm also and pretty chilled out in a way, especially on the finish where it just kind of subsided beautifully. So anyway, that's the first wine. Please enjoy it. And yeah, we'll be back with the second. Thanks.